My daughter sighed so loudly the nurse could hear it. "Dad, do you have any idea how much time this is costing us?" She wasn't talking about the emergency room bill. She was talking about having to drive me there. My son looked at his watch for the third time in less than a minute. "If this isn't serious, we really need to leave. We have dinner reservations." I nodded, pretending not to notice. Then the hospital receptionist looked at my file, stopped typing, and quietly asked, "Mr. Carter, has your family ever seen these documents?" The room went completely silent, because those papers didn't just identify who I was, they proved everything my children believed about me was a lie. My name is Daniel Carter. I'm 72 years old. I've lived in Portland, Oregon, for almost 4 decades. Most people think growing old is painful because your body begins to fail. They're wrong. The hardest part is watching the people you once carried on your shoulders slowly begin treating you like luggage. Something they only keep around because throwing it away would make them look bad. 5 years ago, my wife, Linda, passed away after a long battle with ovarian cancer. She wasn't just my wife. She was the bridge holding our family together. The day we buried her, something inside our children changed. Or maybe, something stopped pretending. My daughter, Emily, visited every Sunday. At least, that's what she told her friends. In reality, she'd stop by once every few weeks, stay 15 minutes, fill her social media with pictures captioned, "Sunday with Dad, family is everything." Then she'd leave before her coffee got cold. My son, Ryan, was different. He rarely visited. Instead, he'd call whenever he needed advice, or money. Mostly money. "Dad, I'll pay you back next month." Next month never came. Eventually, neither did Ryan. Still, I defended them. To neighbors, to church friends, even to myself. They're busy. They're raising families. Life gets complicated. Funny how parents spend their lives protecting children, long after the children stop protecting them. Everything changed one rainy Tuesday morning. I slipped while carrying groceries into my kitchen. Nothing dramatic. No broken bones. Just enough pain in my chest to make my neighbor, Mrs. Alvarez, call 911. She refused to let me argue. "You don't get to be stubborn today, Daniel." Within 20 minutes, I was sitting in the emergency department. The nurse asked for my emergency contacts. I gave Emily's number first, Ryan's second. The nurse smiled politely. "They'll be here soon," she said. I smiled back. "I hope so." Emily arrived 40 minutes later. Not running, not worried, annoyed. The first thing she said wasn't, "Dad, are you okay?" It wasn't, "What happened?" It was, "I had to leave an important client meeting for this." Ryan walked in 10 minutes after her. Bluetooth earpiece still in. Laptop under one arm. "Dad, can we make this quick?" Quick. Like getting old was something that should fit into his schedule. The doctor explained that they wanted to keep me for a few hours for observation. Emily groaned. "A few hours?" Ryan whispered. "We'll never make dinner downtown." They thought I couldn't hear them. Age weakens hearing, not dignity. Around noon, the nurse returned carrying several forms. "Mr. Carter, we need you to verify some personal information." I reached for my glasses. Emily interrupted. "I'll handle it." The nurse smiled politely. "I'm sorry, but some of these questions must come directly from Mr. Carter." Carter. Emily leaned back dramatically. "Fine." Like answering questions about my own life was inconveniencing her. The nurse began reading. "Full legal name?" "Daniel Thomas Carter." "Current address?" I answered. Then she paused. "Occupation?" Ryan laughed. "Dad's retired." The nurse looked down, then back at me. "That's not exactly what's listed." Ryan frowned. "What do you mean?" The nurse hesitated. "I'm sorry." "Never mind." She moved to the next question. but I noticed something. She had suddenly become very careful. An hour later, a man in a navy blue suit entered the waiting room. He wasn't a doctor. He wasn't hospital staff. He walked directly toward me. "Mr. Carter?" I recognized him immediately. "Good afternoon, Michael." Emily looked confused. "Who's this?" The man extended his hand. "I'm Michael Bennett, my father's attorney." Emily laughed. "Attorney?" Ryan smirked. "Dad, what legal trouble could you possibly be in?" Michael didn't smile. He simply handed me a sealed envelope. "It finally arrived. I thought you'd want it immediately." I nodded slowly. "I've been expecting this." Ryan crossed his arms. "Expecting what?" I looked at the envelope for several seconds before answering. "Something your grandfather wanted you both to learn." Emily rolled her eyes. "If this is another old family story, it isn't." Michael's voice became noticeably firmer. "It's legal documentation, and it changes several assumptions." My children stopped looking at their phones. Ryan frowned. "What assumptions?" Michael looked at me. "Not them," waiting, as if asking permission. I quietly nodded. He opened his briefcase, removed a thick folder, and placed it on the small hospital table beside my bed. The top page carried a gold embossed seal. Emily leaned closer. Ryan did the same. Neither of them understood that in less than 5 minutes, everything they believed about their father was about to collapse. The room fell silent. Even the television mounted in the waiting area seemed quieter. Michael opened the folder with the kind of care people use when handling something that can't be replaced. He slid the first document toward me. "I believe this belongs to you again." I smiled faintly. I never thought I'd see it. Emily leaned forward. "Dad, what is it?" Michael turned the page so everyone could read it. Across the top, in bold letters, were the words, "Certificate of Legal Adoption." Ryan frowned. "What does that have to do with anything?" Michael looked at him. "Everything." He took a slow breath. 43 years ago, Daniel Carter legally adopted 2 children after their biological parents were killed in a highway accident. Emily blinked. Ryan laughed nervously. "Okay, and?" Michael didn't answer immediately. Instead, he placed 2 birth certificates beside the adoption papers. The names matched. Emily Carter. Ryan Carter. Emily's face drained of color. Ryan stared at the documents, as if they were written in another language. "No," he whispered. "That's impossible." I finally spoke. "It's true." Neither of them looked at me. They couldn't. Their eyes were glued to the papers. Emily shook her head. You mean you're not our biological father?" I nodded. "No. But I became your father the day I signed those papers." The memories rushed back faster than I could stop them. "Your parents." My younger sister, Sarah, and her husband James were killed by a drunk driver. You were 6. Ryan was barely 4. No one in the family wanted the responsibility. Everyone had reasons. Too expensive, too young, too difficult. They spoke about you as if you were a problem waiting to happen. Linda and I never discussed it twice. We simply drove to the courthouse, signed the papers, and brought you home. Emily covered her mouth. Ryan's hands began to shake. "But you never told us." I smiled. "Because I didn't adopt you to earn gratitude. I adopted you because children deserve parents. I wanted you to grow up believing you belonged, not that you were rescued." For several long seconds, no one spoke. Then Emily whispered, "My whole life, I thought Mom carried me." I nodded toward the ceiling. "Linda carried both of you. Just not in the way people usually mean." Ryan suddenly stood. "You lied." Michael interrupted before I could answer. "No, he honored the promise he made to your mother." Ryan turned. "What promise?" Michael opened another envelope. Inside was a handwritten letter. The paper had yellowed with age. Sarah's handwriting was unmistakable. "Daniel, if anything ever happens to James and me, Please don't let my children grow up feeling abandoned. If you become their father, let them know love first. Truth can wait. Love can't. Emily broke down crying. Not quietly, not politely. The kind of crying that comes from realizing you've misunderstood someone for years. Ryan sat back down. His eyes stayed fixed on the floor. I borrowed money from you. I ignored your calls. I complained every time you needed me. His voice cracked. I finished the sentence for him. Still loved you? He nodded. I never stopped. Emily reached for my hand. For the first time in years, she wasn't taking a picture. She wasn't checking her phone. She simply held my hand. I'm so sorry. I treated you like... She couldn't finish. You don't have to. I already knew. Michael cleared his throat. There is one more document. Ryan looked exhausted. What now? Michael placed a leather folder on the table. This concerns Mr. Carter's estate. Emily immediately pulled her hand back. Not because she wanted money, because she was afraid of what I'd think. I noticed, and smiled. Michael continued. For the last 31 years, Daniel has quietly owned Carter Industrial Storage. Ryan frowned. The warehouse company? Michael nodded. The one operating across 3 states. Emily stared at me. That's worth. Michael answered for her. Approximately $48 million, he said. Ryan's jaw literally dropped. You've been a millionaire this whole time? He asked. I chuckled. No. I've been your father this whole time. The money was always the least interesting thing about me. Emily started crying again. Not because of the money, because she finally understood what she'd ignored. The man she'd treated like an inconvenience had never once tried to impress her. He only wanted her time. Ryan wiped his eyes. What happens now? I looked at both of them, then at Michael. I asked myself that question for almost a year. I had already rewritten my will. Emily's breathing stopped. Ryan looked terrified. Neither of them spoke. Neither of them needed to. I reached into the folder and pulled out another document. My original estate plan left everything equally to both of you. Ryan lowered his head. I don't deserve that. No, I replied gently. You don't. The words hurt them, but they were true. I turned the page, so I changed it. Emily closed her eyes, expecting the worst. I smiled. I created the Linda Carter Family Foundation. The majority of my estate will provide college scholarships for children who lose their parents. Emily looked up. Ryan did too. I continued. The rest will fund housing for foster families willing to adopt siblings together. Because brothers and sisters shouldn't be separated just because adults find it inconvenient. Ryan whispered, You didn't leave us nothing. No. I left you something much harder to earn. He frowned. What? A second chance. I folded the paperwork and placed it back inside the envelope. If you want to be part of my life, come because you love me. Not because of what's written on legal documents. If you don't, I'll still be grateful for the years I had raising you. But I won't spend whatever time I have left begging to matter. 3 months later, every Sunday afternoon, someone knocked on my front door. Not because it was expected, because they wanted to be there. Emily cooked dinner. Ryan fixed everything around the house I'd been pretending wasn't broken. Sometimes we'd sit on the porch without saying much at all. Silence no longer felt lonely. A year later, the foundation opened its first scholarship program. Its motto was engraved on the entrance wall. Family isn't proven by blood. It's proven by the people who stay. Every time I walked past those words, I smiled. Because paperwork had revealed the truth. But love had been proving it all along. If there's one lesson my life taught me, it's this. People often don't recognize someone's value until they believe they've lost it. But the greatest victory isn't making them regret their mistakes. It's refusing to let those mistakes change the kind of person you choose to be.